happened. I sat in the parking lot for like 30, 45 minutes debating. It's like right on the borderline. If I was going with other people, I would have gone right away. I'm by myself today, so I thought about it, but we're gonna go for it. I think. Just gotta time the sets right. All right, here we go. Bit of a rough entry, but we made it. Always a kind of a double-edged sword there. Happy to make it out, but still worried about the landing, because landing is always a little bit tougher than launching. And supposedly the swell is supposed to go down as the day wears on, but you can never really count on that forecast. It's never 100% accurate, but hopefully today they knew what they were talking about. But anyways, we made it out here. It's the first day for me, 2023 California Dungeness Crab season. The season opened up last weekend, but I was out of town at a wedding, so I didn't get to fish on the opener. But now we made it out, and you know, because it's so rough, we don't have any competition out here. No kayaks, no boats that I can see, and all the crabs that are out here should be hungry. There's only gonna be 4 crab pots down, or hoop nets down, I should say. Those are gonna be mine. So ideally, crabbing should be good. So the goal is to get back, get some crab, get a limit of crab, and then get back as soon as possible. So I got my rope, the harness, buoy goes on top, and finally a hoop net, and also a bait cage that's gonna go inside this. All right, got our bait in there, tied to a harness, tied to our lead core rope so that the rope sinks below the surface, isn't caught up. I mean, there's no other boats out here, so it really wouldn't matter today, but you know, it's just good practice to have that lead core rope. And then at the end, there's a buoy, my Go ID number, and then a little red buoy attached to that also. So anyways, first, well, I kind of lied, I dropped one on the way out here. I have one hoop net that has a shorter rope, and honestly, I should just get a longer rope for it, because the ones out here usually do better, but whatever, we haven't done that yet. So anyways, I guess second hoop net of the 2023 Dungeness Crab season going in. And then you probably don't have to do this because it has that buoy, which kind of keeps everything in line. But I like to drop it down nice and slow, so that way when it hits the bottom, I can kind of feel bottom and see what kind of bottom we're dealing with. I mean, out here it should be all sand. We shouldn't really have any rocks out here, but I just like to do it anyways. It just gives me peace of mind. So just kind of drop it down slowly, and eventually, oh, not yet, there, that was the bottom. All right, 2 down, 2 to go. Crabbing in general is pretty simple. If you think about it, you're just dropping a cage down with some bait in there, and then just waiting for the crabs to get it. So really anyone can do it, but there's always a few little things that the more experienced crabbers do to kind of improve their numbers, even by the slightest. So one thing you can do is when you have this hoop net, when you have that bait cage, you want to put it right in the middle, whether it's a net, or, you know, a bag like this, or I like the cages actually a little bit better, but either way, you put it right in the middle of the hoop net, because if it was off to the side, you know, or if it was loose and swinging around where it can get to the edges, then it will. And once it gets to the edges, those crabs can come around from the outside and get your bait. And if they're out here and you come to pull it up, you know, that crab's not gonna be yours, it's gonna fall right out. Anyways, without further ado, let's drop down number 2. Number 3. Another thing I like to do, which isn't so much to improve my catch numbers, but just to make sure everything is clean and we don't lose any pots, I like to straighten out the rope and let the buoy behind me and make sure there's no tangles in my line. And that way, when I drop the hoop net over, now we've got that all straightened out, that way when I drop the hoop net in, it all just falls in. If there's, you know, if I just threw a big bunch of rope over and then hope that when everything, you know, comes settled that it all straightens out, yeah, it would hopefully straighten out, but on the off chance that there's some kind of tangle in there, that crab or hoop net or crab pot could just pull that whole buoy underneath, and then in that case you're gonna lose your whole setup because there's no way to get it once that buoy falls underneath. You know, I always say when you're crabbing, it really pays to be organized. I'm not the most organized guy, but I try to keep my crab traps fairly organized because I think it makes the whole operation run a lot smoother. And it feels like whenever the crabbing season starts or whenever crabbing's going on, it's never calm. Never get a nice calm day out here in November. So today's no exception. Feeling it a little bit, but you gotta do what you gotta do for the crabs. Bait cage secure right in the middle, bottom of the hoop net, going in. All right, last one is in. So a lot of people like to, pull their nets every, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. But personally, if I'm in a place where I've crabbed before and I know the crabbing, I know the area fairly well, or I've caught crabs, fairly recently, I like to just let those hoop nets marinate. For one, it's less, oh gosh. This might be a rough morning. Oh, jeez. All right, let me just get this thought in. So one, less pulling of the hoop nets. Obviously, I'm not the biggest guy, so pulling those hoop nets can get tiring. So the less pulls I have to do, the better. And then two, I just like to have that pot nice and full when it comes up. So we're gonna let these sit for, I'm gonna let them sit for an hour and then come back around and we'll pull them all, and hopefully they're full of nice, big, healthy, delicious Dungeness crab. Still feeling a little bit. Might be a long hour for me. Well, it's been about an hour. So I came back around to the first net that I dropped, and I don't know what happened to it. I don't see the buoy anywhere around. Not sure what happened here. This is the most shallow one. It had shorter rope, but there was definitely enough rope. Came back around. Oh, there it is. I saw it. This is probably the one that I have the least amount of confidence in. And actually, because I marked where I dropped it, because you always want to leave a mark where you're dropping your nets, because especially when the swell's a little bumpy like it is today, it can be hard to see your markers. So you want to have that here. And it looks like this one moved. So if the swells or the currents and all that stuff is moving your net, not a great sign for crabs. And because this one's shallower, there's more commotion going on in here. So I think that probably wasn't great for it. But anyways, we'll pick it up, see what happens. I got a feeling this one's not gonna be that great, but never know. So let's see how this goes. Number one, there's no lid on the net, so you don't want that pot to sink down any. You want it to just slow and steady rise to the surface and keep any crabs that are in there. Oh, there we go. Hey, that's not bad. We'll take it. 5 crabs, I think. Well, here, we'll measure them. At least a couple of these are keepers. So very important, if you're gonna do any crabbing, you need to have this crab gauge. You're not allowed to keep any crabs unless you have this gauge. And what this gauge does is it measures 5 3/4 inches. And because the size of the shell is fairly small and the difference in sizes is fairly minute, you have to have this exact measurement. Because some of them, like you'll see, like this one, super close. I think that might be a keeper actually, but we'll just measure it anyways. And on the shell, there's 2 little points that stick out right there. And you don't want to measure the points themselves, but right on top of that. So you stick one end of the gauge on one side of that, or one end of the shell, and measure it all the other side, and that's keeper. So in California, minimum size is 5 3/4, I believe. Oregon and Washington have bigger size requirements, but that's keeper. That's just about 6 inches, so keeper number 1. Here's another one. Yep, keeper number 2. This one, clearly small. Toss that one back. Yeah, keeper. That one's just barely a keeper, but it is a keeper. I'm hoping by the end of the day we can toss this one back. If the ones out there produce like I'm hoping they will, we should be able to cull this one out. But anyways, small keeper. And this one, this is the biggest one in this pot. This is what you can expect at the beginning of the season. These nice big keeper males. That's about a 7-incher right there. Beautiful crab. Got all the legs, both claws. Very hard shell. Full of delicious meat. So yeah, 4 keepers in the first one. That's honestly way better than I was expecting. I thought, you know, maybe 1 or 2 would be nice, but I got 3 more of these hoop nets to go. So if this is any indication of how the rest of them are gonna fish, we should be in for quite the day out here. So anyways, we'll get this one packed up and then we'll head out and check our other nets. All right, number 2. Oh, well, for any of you who have asked if I ever get seasick out here, normally I'm good, but every once in a while it gets me. So I'm really hoping that these have some crab in here so I can get out of here and get back to shore, because honestly, seasickness is one of the worst feelings in my opinion, because once you get it, there's nothing that really cures it until you get back on land. So we're persevering through it today for the crab. And uh-oh, that wasn't good. Hopefully the other ones are doing better. This one, a couple of rock crab, 3 of them. These are rock crab, a little bit different than the Dungeness. You can keep these 2 if they're, I think 4 inches is the minimum. But in my opinion, if you have any kind of choice, Dungeness is far superior than this one. That's a nice keeper, but we're hoping for a few more in there. Here, we'll measure just to measure. That's definitely like 6.5. Yeah, 6.5, 6.25. All right, 1 keeper. That's 5 total. I feel like you haven't really crabbed unless you've gone out here when it's super rough and just push through. That's what we're doing today. One thing I also mentioned is when it's a little rougher like this, you can weigh down your traps, which might help them stick down in one spot. I feel like my traps right now are moving around a little bit with this big swell coming up and down, pulling on that buoy and all the rope. So you put a little extra weight in your traps, that'll help them keep them in one spot, probably fish a little bit better, but I just don't like to do it. I feel like on a kayak, you know, if it's calm enough for me to come out on a kayak, then in general, I won't need to weigh down my traps, but today is probably the one day when it would have helped to have some weight in there. But anyways, it is what it is. We're fishing them as we can as we go now. And hopefully we have a little bit better numbers than these last 2. Actually, the first one was good, but the second one, I don't know, that one didn't fish too well. Maybe it was in a bad spot. Hopefully this one comes up a little bit more, although it isn't feeling very heavy. It just feels kind of light. Uh-oh. Not good. Tempting. I think I'm gonna let it go though. Definitely could keep this rock crab well over the legal minimum size, but I'll just let him go. We got plenty of Dungeness. That's a female rock crab. All right, let's hope for, you know, to be honest, I'll just take it. If there's 2 keepers, I'll be happy. Honestly, I'm happy with what I got, but I'm really hoping that there's at least 1 crab in this one just to make my efforts worth it. Oh, Okay, that feels a little heavier. Yeah, definitely heavier than the last one, I think. Yes, yes. Oh, coming in clutch. Ah! Look at this one on the edge too. Oh man, right at the nick of time. 1, 2, 3. I think we got a limit. Oh, I was getting worried there. So let's measure these and double check everything. Yes, look at that. That is what we came for right there. Savior. This is the savior pot. You know, when there's crabs on the outside that haven't got in yet, that means that there's still more crawling. So if we would have left it down longer, I'm sure more would have got in here, but not needed, I don't think. This is looking good. I think this one's too small, but let's just measure it anyways, just to be sure. Ooh. Close, but small. Next year's crab. Maybe even later in the season crab. I'm not sure how quickly they grow. Honestly, we don't even need to measure some of these. Look at this crab. That is a nice, healthy Dungeness right there. We'll just measure it. It's always fun to measure keepers. Boom! Bigger than the gauge. That's probably 6.5-ish. Here's another one. We don't need to measure it. That's big. Keeper. Keeper. Got a couple extra here. We're gonna have to throw back a couple keepers. This looks like a keeper. Oh yeah, easy keeper. That, another keeper. Make sure. Yes, keeper. Here's a nice one. That's a nice healthy crab. Probably 6.5. I think that's the limit, but just measure these out. Might be able to call out a couple of the smaller ones, or maybe some are missing a leg or something. Yep, that's a keeper. A little over 6. This one, I think it's a keeper, but see on the bottom it's missing a couple legs, so since we already got our limit, okay, let me just measure it anyways, just see. I think it's a keeper. Yeah, that's a keeper. So technically we keep this one, but we already got over a limit, and since it's missing a couple legs, that means it's gonna have a little bit less meat. So lucky for us, we get to be a little picky and choosy. That one, lucky for him, is going back. It's on the smaller side. Yep, keeper. But I think we're gonna let this one go because I think we already got, we definitely already have a limit. So last one, another keeper. We'll toss this one back. Hopefully one of you catches this one later on in the season. Ah, what a relief. All right, let's get everything packed up. It's time to head in. All right, look at this bounty here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 12. So we gotta find 2 of these crab to toss out, whatever the 2 smallest ones are, because I'm pretty sure they all have all their legs. I tossed out the one that is missing some legs already. So I'll sort through these, but really we got 13 keepers and 1 case of seasickness. I feel like this is a thing now. I've seen this on all the social medias, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. The ones you let go, oh, I forgot to keep a snack for them. Well, anyways, let's take this barnacle off. There's a barnacle right on his mouth. So let's get that guy off of there. There. Now he's good to go. See you later, dude. It was really the first pot, which is in shell. I didn't have that much confidence in it, but you know, that one produced. And then middle 2, hardly anything, just 1. And then the last one had, what is that, 7 keepers? Something like that. So, oh, 8 keepers. I think the last one had 8 keepers, almost a full limit in one net. So definitely a good spot. Let's come back to that mark. The other 2, not so much. But anyways, sometimes it's easy, but a lot of times when it comes to crabbing, it's not. So let's see, what time is it? Dropped my first pod around 9:30. Sat in the parking lot for a little while, looking at the waves. I'm hoping to, oh, yikes. Might be coming again. I gotta get things moving. Anyways, dropped my first pod around 9:30. It's 11:15 now, so probably about 2 hours worth of crabbing to secure a limit. Oh, all right. Let's take care of things and hope that the launch or the landing is, well, I guess uneventful. Look at that. Never a great sign when the waves are crashing like that and you're about to come in. But you know, definitely would not come out here with a first time kayaker, but I've done this a few times and I'm definitely not immune to flipping on the way in. But my best advice is just take your time with it. That's why I've already been sitting here for, you know, 15 minutes or so, just kind of watching the sets come in, formulating a game plan. There's like a little peak out here where when the big sets are coming in, they crash on outside a little bit more. So that's a good indicator for me. You know, when it's crashing out there, that means the big sets are coming in, and that's not the time when I want to go in. So basically, my plan now is to watch the swells out there. When they're small out there, I'll start making my run, and I want to zip in as quickly as possible. And you don't want to second guess yourself, especially not in the danger zone in there. This is gonna be a fun one. Oh, and another thing, whenever you're on a kayak, especially on these dicey landings like we have today, just strap down everything. Anything you don't want to lose, strap it down just in case. You know, if I had rods and reels, I'd put all those reels in a dry bag, strap my rods to the kayak. I definitely have all my cameras strapped down, put it right in a dry bag, except for this one. This one's waterproof, so I'll leave this one out. But even this one I have strapped to the kayak, just in case it gets dicey in there. Like I said, you're never immune to a flip, so yeah, I want to be prepared just in case. All right, how about you? Yeah, just waiting it out.
Where did you wait? Right there? Okay.
Yeah.
You know how the sets and all that work here?
Yeah.
All right, you're comfortable? You're good?
Yeah, I'm good. I appreciate it though.
Okay, right on.
Just a friendly surfer coming to check on me. Appreciate it. All right, here we go. I wish you guys could have seen what I saw there. That was a fun one. One thing I didn't mention earlier, it's super important to pick a line in a place like this. There's certain points where the waves break, and then there's certain points where they don't break. So you want to come in as much as possible where they're not breaking, because that's the breaking waves are the ones that are going to flip you. So I just came in here, tucked up against this little rocky shoreline here on this side. Not too close though, because obviously you don't want to run into a rock, but as close as you can. And cruised right on in, and we hit a few waves, but we were able to ride them out and make it back to shore in one piece. And we didn't lose any gear. Not gonna lie, that was one of the more sketchy landings that I've done. But we survived. And you know what, now that I think about it, with all that excitement of coming in, big waves, just trying to stay upright, adrenaline was pumping, forgot all about my seasickness. Now that I'm back on land, we're pretty much good to go. So, all in a day's work.